so much choice out there in cruise. There's literally a cruise for everyone.
Whenever people say to me, well, cruising is a little boring or a little rote, I'm like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back to Winds of Change. My name is Janet Bava, and I am your host for today. And yes, we are here still at Sea Trade at our Global Cruise Conference in Miami Beach. And I am so excited because guess what? Chris is still here as well. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. It's been a long day for you, but thank you for holding out.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be sitting here again.
Yes, we've put him back on the other hot seat.
Yeah.
Yes.
The co-host.
I think you did an incredible job, so you can take over anytime, right? Yes.
We'll see what people say.
Okay. Well, you know what? We've had incredible journalists coming here and joining us. And this next guest, I'm particularly very excited about because I think he understood the assignment when he saw the email requesting for us to actually interview him instead of him interviewing us. His words were, well, that's 108 degrees from ordinary. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
And Paul Brady works for Travel and Leisure magazine, which I'm sure all of you subscribe to and are all following on social media. But for those of them who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get in the world of journalism and travel?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. So this is a 3-hour episode, right?
Exactly,
yeah. Okay,
please.
Yeah, good. Well, I spent some formative years studying Italian, and that kind of opened my eyes to the world of travel. And then when I had this sort of Italian background and language and literature background, I thought, this is great, but how am I going to make a living? And
Right.
so I made the bold choice to get into journalism.
Wow.
The industry that kind of is always changing. And so I've been very fortunate to always be working in travel and reporting on the travel industry at a lot of different titles. But I joined TNL late 2019 and have been riding the wave ever since.
Yes.
It's really great. And we have a ton of great opportunities. And it's all thanks to our great audience and our great partners. So, yeah, I'm loving it.
I didn't know. You see, this is the wonderful thing about podcasts. We actually learn so much about, our friends of the industry. And I actually myself got into travel and, Italian was the language that I studied when I was in school. And I actually met my husband in Italy when I traveled there. So that's pretty unique and different.
Yeah, there you go. And I had the chance to go to some really interesting places, in the far northeast of Italy, a little town called Grotto, which is still one of my favorite places, between Trieste and Venice. There's Roman ruins, there's great white wine, there's sailing, there's lagoons, there's beaches. It's a fabulous place that not a lot of Americans know. It is a well-known place in Europe, but I think not a lot of Americans know it. And then Arezzo in Tuscany, it was another place that I studied that always has a sort of warm place in my heart and memory.
Amazing. Yes, I love Italy, and I know Chris loves Italy right now, but it's only really because of the Grand Prix and Ferrari, right?
Yes, I'm a Ferrari Catholic. There's two religions in Italy,
yes.
right? And one is Ferrari. So yes, I'm a fan.
Yes, absolutely. So Paul, tell us about your travel, experiences. And so our guests here are, planning to travel. They're hopefully taking a cruise. And so can you tell them a little bit about why they should consider a cruise when they, choose to travel to their next destination?
Yeah, I think in the cruise industry, we spend a lot of time talking about hardware, and then sometimes we talk about software, the crew, right?
Yes.
The people who bring the experience to life, who I would actually put, at the forefront of why you should do it. But then there's also where you can go, right? And everywhere in the world, pretty much, has some coastline, and there are millions and millions of great places to go around the world that are seaside. And so the destination, I think, has to be number one. But then there's also the style of travel. People will say, well, cruising is very regimented. And I don't find that to be true at all. I find cruising to be a very relaxing way to see a lot in an efficient manner, right? The ability to see 4 or 5 different nations in the Caribbean in the span of a week. I dare you to try to do that any other way. And yet, when I say see all those countries, what I mean is check out some waterfalls, go to the beach, enjoy a barbecue, kick it on the sun deck for a little bit.
Relax.
It's okay to have a good time. I feel like sometimes people are so worried about checking lists or seeing things that they forget that this is supposed to be a fun exploration of the world. So a couple of reasons there.
Yeah.
Well, and you can also, just as you say, you can go to a destination, maybe you have been there before, say, you know what, I've seen this. You stay on the ship, you get to enjoy a full set of amenities, right? Different restaurants. I mean, you can go to the spa, to the gym, you can do and listen to, music or watch a movie. I mean, there's so many things to do on a ship in addition to just exploring the destination, because you may also want to just relax, right, and enjoy some room service.
Yes.
And I think that's just a very comfortable way of traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I was recently in St. Martin, and I feel like I had an entire vacation in the one day, that our ship was there in port, in the sense that I woke up very early, went for a 4-mile hike up above the port to get this amazing panoramic view, came back to the ship, had breakfast. That's how early I was up. It's not every day I do that, but come back to the ship, have a great breakfast, then relax, and then head out in the afternoon for an activity which was mind-blowing, racing a 12-meter sailboat. If you know anything about racing sailboats, you get hands-on. I'm there, I'm grinding the winches with these people. We were racing another sailboat. It was thrilling. As a sailor, I was really enthusiastic about it. Then I had the opportunity to go to a beach bar, and then we go back to the ship, have a great dinner. It's like, that's an entire vacation in one day.
Right.
And then we get to do it again the next day. And so, whenever people say to me, oh, cruising's a little boring or a little rote, I'm like,
you haven't.
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you about cruising.
Yeah.
So you've talked about the Caribbean, but I know you talk a lot about destinations and write about them. What are the hot destinations that your readers right now are really interested in learning more about?
Well, it's funny you say the hot destinations, because I think they're all cold places.
Okay.
Right? They're polar. Greenland is obviously, very newsy for a lot of reasons right now, but people are really passionate about, getting out on the sort of the edges of things. So Greenland, Faroe Islands, northern Canada, the other poles are really fascinating to people. Japan is one that I think people are really enthusiastic about. And more than destination, I think this idea of seasonality has really kind of gone away, and people are interested in taking a deeper trip, a longer trip, a more interesting trip, a more rewarding trip, than trying to sort of shoehorn in just where they can get to in the certain number of days. So
Absolutely.
Those are, I think, some of the trends that we're seeing.
Yeah, and so I'm going to bring up Thailand only because I know you haven't started. We just actually talked about it before this episode, but I think we've just announced we're going to be heading over to Southeast Asia, and I think you mentioned Japan. We're having the Star Seeker go to Japan as well, but Southeast Asia has also become a quite popular destination these days, and I think it was even before, right, the White Lotus.
Yeah, well, I'll say that, at TNL, we named Thailand Destination of the Year and had it on the cover because people are, turning the page on sort of the past, few years where they were a little nervous about travel, and now they're really embracing opportunities. Yeah. So you all headed there now, just another endorsement of the region and Thailand in particular.
I love that. And you did mention cold weather destinations and local season. We also announced our year-round sailing in Europe. And I think one of the things that we have found is exactly what you said. It's not necessarily the weather, but it's going to destinations as iconic as Rome and Venice, but when you don't have the crowds of the summer there, when people, kind of doing locals, what the locals do and what others are not doing.
Yeah, you have different opportunities. Different seasons bring, different festivals. Perhaps, there's a show you want to see, or a concert, or performing arts of any kind. And then also, we kind of touched on this briefly, this idea that people are well-traveled now, right? And so they know already what their favorite restaurant in Rome is, and they want to go back and eat there again. Or they've been to Rome, and they've been to Florence, and they've been to Venice, but maybe they haven't been to, some smaller places in Sicily yet, or maybe they haven't been to Bari yet, There's always more, right? Mm-hmm. And once you're passionate about a place, you start to get under the skin and make those repeat visits.
Love it. So have you been back to Italy recently?
Recently, no, but I have been back to Italy quite a bit over my career. Yeah, and it remains, an enchanting place.
I love it. And so going into Europe, because I know we've talked about like off the beaten path destinations.
Yeah.
I think Europe is also having its moment in cruising.
For sure.
So what are the destinations that you feel our guests should be looking at in Europe? And I know, Chris, you have a little destination that we talk about all the time, which is Canary Islands, and that's off more the coast of Africa. But what destinations do you think in Europe is really hot right now for cruising?
Portugal seems to be endlessly hot, for sure. I feel like when you come to a show like this, everybody knows about the Dalmatian coast and Croatia and Dubrovnik, and we're kind of like, oh my gosh, another Croatia. But there's a lot of people out there who have not seen the incredible coastline of Croatia and even further down. I mean, sailing into, Kotor, Montenegro, for example, in that, amazing fjord-like geography. I mean, talk about impressive, beautiful scenery that you just want to stand on deck with, whether it's a cup of coffee or something else. You want to be there and enjoy it. And then I think in Greece, there's a lot of still opportunity. Greece is a place that people have been going on vacation for 4,000 years, but there's still more to see and there's still more to do. And there's a reason it's popular. So what are some other islands? What are some other ways? What are some other things we can put together? I
love that. I love Greece because we talk a lot about Greece, but we also talk a lot about Santorini and Mykonos and the rest of the islands that we sail into that you can go and explore, which I think that's when we look at our guest survey after the fact, and they go to Greece and they take our Greek Isles itinerary because of Mykonos and Santorini. But then when we look in the reviews, they actually had the most fun and off the beaten path, which is our actual itinerary in Greece as well. So absolutely, I think it's definitely having its moment.
When you can surprise people, right? I mean, that's why they say surprise and delight. It's
it's
not a made up thing.
Well, and they trust the brand, right? So, I mean, we're having a mystery cruise. I'm not sure if you've heard about that, but we're having a mystery cruise where, guests actually don't know where they're going, but they trust the brand. They love cruising. They have experienced cruising, and they're saying, wherever you take me, I'm going to love it anyhow.
I think the mystery cruise is one of the funniest, most clever things, and I would do it. I really would.
We actually have to. So it's interesting because from all of our journalist friends who've been on board, Paul has actually not sailed with Windstar. And we usually ask, what was your favorite itinerary at Windstar? And I know you said something really funny to me when I said that.
Well, yeah, I thought if I did the podcast, I'd at least be invited on a Windstar cruise or something.
Okay, so Paul, you're always invited. I just want to clear that up. And I can tell you our mystery cruise set sail on April 19th, so I'm not sure what you're doing next week, but I'm sure we can find you a suite somewhere. That's all I'm going to say.
Just, send a message to my boss and we'll sort it out later.
We'll sort it out, absolutely.
I think it's a great idea. Just, come along for the ride. But it's really, because that's actually even more exemplifying as to what the mystery cruise concept actually is.
Yes.
It's not so much where you go, but more so who you're going with.
Right.
And you are amongst like-minded people who love travel, who love exploration, adventure, and the amenities and comfort of a ship. Yeah. And I think that's the commonality, right? You sort of put the destination a little bit to the side and just say, no, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, the people who go on that must be some of the most well-traveled, most, what was that old ad, the most interesting man in the world? But it's that, plus some ladies and people, just all sorts of people who are super interesting and have travel stories.
Agree. And we have obviously not just going to repeat ports, we are going to new ports where Windstar hasn't been before. So those guests who've sailed a lot on Windstar, which you're right, they will get to see some new ports.
New things.
Yeah. I know we have some guests that actually we're departing from Athens. They've taken how many nautical miles the ship goes. They're trying to really calculate where we're going to be. I mean, they're invested in trying to figure it out, but I don't think I haven't seen anybody who's gotten any of it right yet. So I can tell you it's going to be quite an exciting time. So here's the part where I turn it over to you, Paul, because in reality, you're the one that usually is asking us questions about what's going on with Windstar. So here's your chance. Take over and let us know if you have any questions for Chris or I.
Yeah, I think what's top of mind for me is new ships. And I know this just goes against exactly what I said at the top of the show, that we talk too much about hardware, but it's really exciting that you all have these new ships coming. Is it not?
Yeah, it is very exciting. And it's interesting you're bringing that up, because also for a brand like Windstar to be in this growth mode is super exciting. We're getting our first new ship since a long time.
Right.
And I was actually asked earlier on, I said, well, is it going to be Windstar? And it's 100% exactly Windstar. First of all, it's small.
Yeah.
It's our size. It's 224 guests. It is a Star Class ship. It has all the Star Class features, from a jacuzzi on the bow to the marina in the aft section to a proper, really nice spa, multiple restaurants, alfresco dining. All these things you feel are part of the current Star Class fleet. But above and beyond that, it's the Windstar crew who's going to be on board.
Right.
And once you have sailed, which you will, you'll know that is a big part of our brand, of our culture, and our product.
Right.
And so I'm really excited. And I know Janet too, that in December this year we're taking that new ship in delivery in our hands and get to sail to some really spectacular destinations, some of which you mentioned here. But it's also, we're doing it in a little bit of a Windstar way, where the ship is going to say hello to her sisters along the way to her destination.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
our guests who are sailing on sister ships at that point in time will meet Starseeker, and we'll get the chance to walk on board and see our ship, because we want to properly introduce her. And what better way to do it is amongst the biggest Windstar fans of our guests who are currently sailing then. So it will be a really fun time for us.
Nice.
And I'm excited about the new ships, but I'm actually really excited about the sailing ships getting their much needed renovation. And so these ships have been sailing for 30 years. They're so glorious and beautiful.
Right.
And the fact that we're investing, and by, right now, the Spirit, all 3 of our sailing ships, all the common areas, the lounges, the restaurants have all been completely renovated. And by the end of next year, all the staterooms as well. And so I know we're talking a lot about sustainability in these types of conferences, because these ships get larger and larger. And what I love is that we've maintained these beautiful ships, and we're not kind of just, retiring them on the shore side and the beach and beaching them, but we are sustaining them and investing in making sure that they're gleaming like new. So I'm excited about the new ships, but I'm also excited about the investments that are being made on our existing fleet.
Very well said.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Like, maintaining what you have, continuing to invest in what you have, that is a version of sustainability
Absolutely.
that often goes overlooked.
Yeah, and staying small, right?
Yeah.
Like, really, and I think there's also, these small ships that go to these destinations, these off the beaten path. You said Greenland, you said the polars. We also have a responsibility to make sure not to make them overcrowded, right? And I think that's one of the things that I'm excited about, is that we work for a company that really is respecting the destinations that we're sailing, so that for many, many years we can all enjoy these wonderful places.
Yeah. So one thing I like to ask people anytime we're having a travel conversation is, you've got to get new guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us in on the secret on like your highest performing marketing messaging, or what's the platform, or like, how are you telling your story in a way that really clicks with people, because everybody else wants to know your secret?
We got a horse.
Yeah.
What?
Did you hear about the horse?
I did, but
All
some
right.
people may not have.
Yes.
Hey, we have a horse in the race. It's like,
Yes, and the horse's name is Windstar.
Yeah.
And what we thought about is, we talk a lot about, I know Chris loves F1 and racing, and there's a lot of cruise brands that are out there, and we actually go to Monaco for the Grand Prix in Monaco.
Yeah.
But how wonderful is it that we get to enter the Equestrian World, which is a world that has not been entered by any cruise brand. And how lucky are we that we get to own a horse, and this champion horse, because he's training to be a champion, will be hopefully very soon in the Olympics in 2028. And how wonderful is it that when people are watching the Olympics in 2028, they get to see Windstar, the horse, in the Olympics. And so, we're looking at new audiences by not necessarily of course, we're working with you in Travel and Leisure, so that when your guests are looking for cruise brands, they're seeing us there in the Travel and Leisure magazines. But I think it's also going into places where people are not thinking about travel, and being the only brand there and saying, okay, I do like to travel, and guess what? I love horsing and horse jumping, and let me consider Windstar as a brand. So we're kind of trying to do things that are 180 degrees from ordinary, and even this podcast.
Yeah,
totally.
It's trying to really reach out and educate, so that it's not just marketing to them on or posting another social media material, but it's really having a conversation so that we can also attract the new to brand, but the right clientele, because we're not for everyone, right? But we hope to be able to match the right people with this beautiful brand.
Yeah. So it's partnering, but partnering in a really strategic and thoughtful way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also doing things slightly different, not just with the horse, but short cruises, right?
Yes.
Offering a taste of Windstar, right? Next year in 26, we'll have short cruises in and out of London. For the people who live in London, wanted to take a long weekend off and just don't want to bother to go to an airport and fly out, but actually take the ship in and out of Tower Bridge and go see Saint-Malo or Antwerp, Belgium, and get a different experience of that. So that brings a potential new guest to our brand as well. And then, of course, we should not forget the most important group who helps us with acquisition of new guests is our travel advisors. In a very technology advanced era where we're living, the travel advisor is even more important these days than perhaps in the past, because right now it's really about education, as you say, of the guests, and there's so much choice out there in cruise. There's literally a cruise for everyone, and you need the travel advisors to really match the cruise with the guest and do a good job with it. So we're really reliant on them too.
Yeah, it's an interesting sort of channel, because one of the things we talk about in the media these days is the influence of AI, what people believe, what people don't believe. I would be curious to know what you all think about, how hard is it to break through with a real credible message in the sort of information landscape that we're in now.
Yeah.
And
I think, so I think AI to me is going to be always the average answer. I think AI can assist, right? But we know that that's what it is. And we were talking about a little bit, people going into Google and maybe searching something and getting this little snippet of a paragraph, which is an overall high-level answer. But I hope people are intrigued by clicking through and trying to learn more. We're going to still have to do our, due diligence and really investigate, because we are not, as humans, we're not average, right? And I think we all need to really embrace AI, because it is going to help us be more efficient and scale in so many ways, and it's going to help guide us. But it shouldn't replace, one, the travel advisor, two, the articles that you're all writing that has really a very detailed description about the experiences that are out there for them to consider. And so we are absolutely embracing AI, but it's not going to be the end all be all, right? I don't think it's going to be a one-stop shop and solution. So we're talking a lot about AI, but it's not going to replace the travel advisors, the magazines they should be reading, and they're definitely not going to replace the actual experience to have when traveling the world on a cruise.
People create experiences,
yes.
Right? So now, if AI can help create more time for people to create experiences, that's a good thing, right? And that will come back in spades to the consumer and the guests, and even to us as a line. So I think there's an embracing of AI, but we are at the same time embracing the experience, the offer, the product we are providing to our guests. That's front and center of mind.
Yeah. Maybe an easier question. Where are you all looking forward to going this year?
On next week, we'll be on the Mystery Cruise.
Right. Can't say.
That's right. Where that goes, only Janet knows, because they don't tell me. And I really don't know. So, and that's totally cool, because I'm fully on board with it and really like that idea too. But after that, I will be in Tahiti.
Nice.
End of May, yes. Yeah. Can't wait to be back with friends and colleagues in Tahiti. I love that destination for all the reasons many people know.
Yeah.
And yeah, that will be 8 days of French Polynesia for me.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
I am doing a cross-country relocation from LA to Miami, and I told Chris, after this massive relocation and moving my family back to Miami, I want to go back to Tahiti. And so what happened is I've only been to Tahiti for work.
Right.
And so my husband, we were part of the Golden Bachelorette, right? And so I remember the show airing and me watching it with my husband, and he's like, "You've been to Tahiti without me?" And so I am very much in trouble at home.
Right.
And I need to make sure to take my husband. It's been 2 years now that I've been at Windstar Cruises, and I haven't taken my husband yet to Tahiti. So I need to really, after this cross-country move, I'm going to have to go back to Tahiti. So I'm very excited about, taking him there, because we love the beach. We love the water. We love Italy. As you know, he's Italian, and we love the south of Italy, so we vacation there a lot. So I think it's time for us to, change it a little bit.
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and head over there right after the summer.
Now, are you going to be able to actually take a vacation? Is that your personality?
No, I'm always working. But you know what? I'll be very happy if he's able to enjoy himself, then that's going to be my vacation.
Nice.
Yes. Paul, you have been such an incredible guest. I hope that the next time that you come back to this podcast, you've already been on board a Windstar cruise. That's definitely going to be the requirement. You've definitely won your suite on board.
Yes, you did. You did.
You've earned it.
Nice,
You've earned it. I'm
nice.
sorry, not won it. You've earned it. I appreciate you coming here and taking the plunge with us and enjoying. I really enjoyed the last 20 minutes sitting here and talking to you. You're always such a wealth of knowledge, and so thank you for your support.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, and for all of you, thank you for joining us one more time, and we appreciate you being here with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.